number 11 of the 20 things that we have learned about marriage that you need to know. And Cheryl, can you bless them with number 11?
So number 11 is intimacy is important.
Ooh.
Holding each other is
Mm.
sometimes the best medicine.
I know
And
she gonna. That's why I wanted her to start with number 11.
well, because intimacy is not sex.
Mm.
Intimacy is getting
Mm.
closer to your mate without sometimes without saying a word. Sometimes without doing a thing. Sometimes just laying in the bed. Sometimes just holding hands.
True.
Sometimes just speaking without words.
Mm.
And it can be a point where people forget about intimacy.
True.
And when intimacy is gone, you lose a part of your relationship because I know when my husband is not feeling well.
Mm.
Like last week, he wasn't feeling that well. And I
Mm-hmm.
know sometimes when he just needs for me to just hold him.
That's it.
And he vice versa.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes you just gotta know to know, but you gotta be plugged in to know. And if you're not plugged in to know, then it's a situation where you become detached from each other.
Mm.
And having intimacy is sometimes that part of you that just goes to a place where that person is just there.
Mm.
That
Mm.
person is just it's just at the point where that person just knows that I just need to cuddle. I just need for him to hold me. Do you cup with your mate at night?
Ooh. Mm.
Sometimes something goes off, and then sometimes we just fall asleep in each other's arms.
Teacup.
And a lot of times, like Greg and I, we had something that we did prior, so we was out late, and so we took a nap.
Mm. Mm-hmm.
And he was like, I was like, I can't go to sleep. He was like, yes, you can. And he took me and in his
I
arms,
literally took her.
and I went to sleep.
Mm-hmm.
I went to sleep, and I'm not a napper. I always say I'm not a napper. And I actually rest. And that's the whole point. It wasn't long. It's just
Mm-hmm.
that just need a little nap,
Recharge.
and to recharge. And he was like, "You need to chill, Cheryl. Come on with me." And sometimes your partner, your mate can tell you that. And I fell asleep, right?
Yes, she
I
did.
fell asleep. So that's the point where you just know that I just felt safe, and I felt like he didn't want nothing. He just wanted to hold me, and I fell asleep. And that's intimacy.
Well, intimacy also, and as she was just saying in reference from the male perspective, sometimes we assume that intimacy always has to lead into some sort of physical whatever. Whatever you do, but just like they said, whatever goes on in your bedroom, that's your bedroom. You 50 Shades of Grey, bless you. If you, hopefully, you're not just ordinary missionary position, because then we need to work with you. But regardless of the situation, you need to understand that intimacy is something that is needed wholeheartedly, even for men. Sometimes we have to get in, and it's not about getting in touch with a side that's not there. We all have that intimate side. The intimate side also allows us to grow because now we start to see, we understand you're supposed to navigate through your manhood, and that also your drive also, leads to your entrepreneurial pursuits, which will probably go further in another later on down the road. But what I'm saying, having a great sex drive is necessary. But just because you have a sex drive doesn't mean that there are times where it's not just about always the physical interaction. Sometimes it could be about just holding her hand. Sometimes you just need a hand held. And you may sit there and say, nah, I'm a guy. I don't just need my hand held. I don't just need somebody just to rub me or to lay me on their stomach or lay me on their chest. Sometimes you do. And it's not even that. It becomes a comfort level because it's not that you're reverting yourself back into the womb, but you're respecting the fact that your queen has the ability to also envelop you as well. So when you get to that point in that stage, and even as we have began today's telecast and we, congratulating those young people who decided to, move on to that next step in their relationship, one of the things that we would tell them is that intimacy is what you make of it. You have to have discussions. You have to. It took time. It took work. It took her working with me. I'm man enough to admit that. I'm a man's man and all this, that, and the third, intimacy. What is all that about? You know what I'm saying? It's supposed to be just, we're going to do this or we're not going to do this. And then after a while, as you start to grow and you start to learn your woman, you start to understand, like, wait a minute. Then it starts, when you start getting some sense, because yes, we do have to remember that, we may not be as, smart as we were as we get more and more experience and become a little bit more learned. But as I started to become a little older, I started to understand what this whole thing about intimacy is about. Sometimes there are times where I would literally, as my wife was saying about cupping, but there are times where you get a recharge just from holding your mate, knowing that connectiveness, knowing that you're with someone that's in the same the whole ride or die situation. You got your partner next to you, and if you have that individual that's really laying next to you, and that's why we tell y'all the difference between dating and courting. That's why we don't want to hear all that stuff about you just dating this girl, dating that girl. That's nothing. The physical act only lasts but so many minutes. But if you're really building something, you're connecting with something. Now you start moving in vibrations and navigations that can take your soul, your experience, your spirit to another level. So intimacy is something that is wholeheartedly needed. It has to be expressed. And fellas, yeah, if you don't understand, as my wife told me, even though when we first got married, Google wasn't really around, but she would tell me, go get that book. She'll send my behind to that bookstore and be like, look, maybe you need to listen to some love songs. Quiet Storm is on. Just listen to some music for an hour, and maybe that'll give you some inspiration and some thoughts. See, she's smiling because she thinks I don't remember that, but I remember all that. But it, I would say in my younger self, it'd have been like, oh my God, why is she trying to shape me or teach me or this, that, and the third? And you be in your ego because you're still in that lion sense of you're more predatorial, which is true. We're men, we become very predatorial, especially once you have your woman and you think it's yours and this and the third, and you ready to get something, blah blah blah, and you forget about whoa 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 whoa. It's not just about you. So when you stop just thinking about yourself, things start to work out a little bit better. When you start to just not just say, okay, I'm just getting in there so I can get mine and this, that, and the third, and I'm not worrying about foreplay or caressing or touching or talking or doing all the other stuff or rubbing or squeezing or cajoling or whatever. Next, certain things that you expect. Now it's not no more time of expectation because now you done tilled the ground a little bit. Now all of a sudden things are like, oh, can you do this? Now you don't even have to ask because you went intimate. You started thinking with this head, and not just with what's going on down there. So intimacy is a learned skill. It's a skill that will allow your relationship to have some level of longevity. And regardless of the situations around you, make sure that you start to figure out who you are. And yes, men, I'm saying it so you can, send your emails to me or whatever if you think that I'm saying something wrong, which I know I'm not. But men, we do need intimacy as well because believe you me, if you're just worrying about being, Mr. Hammerman and Hammerman ain't working, you better have something else in your tool belt. And that's number 11, dealing with intimacy.